People, deluded, I'm back again. Now, Arsenal and Sheffield United have just played each other. We've nicked 3 points. I say nicked, we've earned 3 points, you know. We go into the international break in decent spirits, you know. We take 3 points, we win. We deal with the Man City game after that break when we can. You know, we bounce back from Monday's disappointing performance in the league. And obviously we get a bit of insurance in relation to that game. Now, we know Arsenal's problems, whether it's isolated to this game or next. Now, today I don't think we was poor. You know, I think we just needed to do more to score in terms of more intention, more invention in the final third. Just damn right, more shots, just playing with a higher tempo. You know, I say that sentence, you could say that in many different, you know, literally in every game. Probably only the Fulham game out of the 4 games we've played so far this season. Probably the only game you can't really harp on about that. We know Arsenal's issues. We know there's a lack of real sustained creativity and playing with a high tempo. We know there's, you know, we're not shooting enough. There's a lot of issues. It's not going to change overnight. Half of it can be solved with better players. Half of it can be solved with not only the players understanding and taking responsibility, but also Arteta. So it remains to be seen. But I always believe in self-reflection. Now, if these players really have the goal of top 4 in mind, then at every period, I know it's not exactly a quarter, but at every period in the Premier League when there's time to reflect, there should be time to reflect. And as you know, not only does the Arsenal players need to reflect, the board need to reflect on these 4 games and ask, is there enough in this team? You know, for instance, I would like to keep Saliba at the team. I recognise if he goes out on loan to play more football and how beneficial that could be to him. But we haven't kept a clean sheet. We've kept 1 clean sheet in the league. You know, we've kept 2 in the League Cup, if you want to count the penalties victory over Liverpool, and obviously the 2-0 victory over Leicester. We've only kept 1 clean sheet out of 4 games in the Premier League. You know, statistically, how many goals have we conceded? 3 against Liverpool, 1 today, that's 4. We also conceded 1 in the 2-1 victory against West Ham. So that's 5 goals conceded. While I don't think we're shooting enough and things like that, if we contextualize it in the league, we've got 3 against Fulham, we've got 1 against Liverpool, which is 4. You know, we've got 6 goals this season. So we've conceded however many I believe I said 5. I could be wrong, and we've scored 6. Now my maths is terrible, and I actually can't remember what I've just said there, but that tells you, you know, it's not sustainable. One, we're relying on outscoring teams, so we need to be better in defence. Now, to be fair to Arteta, we have improved defensively, and to be fair to the players, the same, as much as the system permits and as much as the quality of players permit. You know, the defence, specific to defence, the outlook on defending has improved. The defenders have improved. You know, Holding's reacted from going out on loan. I know he didn't play today, but he's played substantially. Luiz is going to be hot and cold, but he's going to go through moments, and regardless what you feel about him, he is Arteta's man, so he will stay. I do believe a big part of Saliba potentially going on loan is because David Luiz it's a mixture of, I don't think Saliba is ready in Arteta's eyes, but you know, Mustafi has given Arteta faith. If he wasn't confident in Mustafi or Luiz, then they wouldn't be here. You know, I'm pretty sure Martial's been sent off, people. I'm sure in the event Socrates stays, he will play no football, but there's also the case of, you know, he won't play much football, but he could be called upon, you know. So there's been a better outlook in defending and defenders, and that's a big part as to our FA Cup win. But at the same time, people, the midfield, you know, there's 2 ways of defending in midfield, as I keep saying, and I sound like a broken record. You do what Arsenal used to do when we had mad creative players, from Santi to Wilshere to Nasri to Cess. You know, we did, even when they used to call us soft and say we can only play one way. That's a form of defending. Attack is the best way of defence. You know, when you're holding onto the ball and you're dictating, you're popping teams, the other team ain't got the ball, so they're not threatening that way. We ain't got the quality of players or the bank balance that can cop these players to go out and get them sort of man. We ain't got no real dynamism in midfield. We can't outrun teams like that or win the ball consistently, and our midfield is a big part of defending, you know, helping out that back 3 or back 5, if you want to call it that, if we play 3 at the back, or back 4. You know, our midfield, this tells you a lot. I'm not putting all of our blames at our midfield. I'm just saying, as a fan, our midfield needs to improve. You know, defending, we've got a long way to go. You know, scoring, we've done all right, but if we're honest, we're not shooting 3-1 Spurs, people. Harry Kane has scored. If we're honest, we're not shooting enough. We're not shooting with much intention, and it's not sustainable. You know, there's games like today. We've only had 2 shots in the second half. It looks great because we've scored twice. You know, other times it doesn't exactly look like that, people. So we're in trouble. Really have to apologise, but I have to see this goal because I think it's done playing out from the. Oh my, Eric Bailly, people. Taxi for Eric Bailly. Easiest goal Harry Kane will score, and my FPL team is laughing. Apologies for being so unprofessional. But like I said, this is a time for reflection. And if we look at the 4 games, there's a lot to be positive about within the context. We only lost to Liverpool and they're the league champions. Now, my personal thought is, regardless of losing to Liverpool, there was things we did within that game to gift it to Liverpool. Liverpool's game plan was spot on. Liverpool's players were spot on. But do I feel, when I accept this and I look at this, is that the only factor as to why we lost? Is that the overriding factor as to why we lost? I don't think so. I think, like against City, after the restart last season, we shot ourselves in the foot by gifting 3 cheap goals to Liverpool. And if you gift them cheap goal situations, they're going to exploit that in the same way Manchester City did against us people after the restart. And ironically, it's a bit of a different restart, but after the international break and the Premier League restarts, are we going to learn those lessons? You look at the West Ham game, we got away with it, we were poor in that game, we didn't create enough. Today, really, did we create enough? Not really. The contexts were different. Liverpool, psychologically, I don't feel was there. Fulham, we was at it. And if we're harsh, should be expected to beat Fulham 3-0. Look at, they've been promoted from the Championship and look at the way they're playing, Sheffield, you need a bit of grit and determination against Sheffield. But if we're looking at this season as a whole, there's plenty of reasons to be positive. There's plenty of reasons that we need the board to act and bring in players. And for the existing players, and without talking about transfers for a second, people, just contextualising the season so far, if we was to give it a grade, I'm not sure what you'd give it. But there is a lot of room for improvement. And some football is a weird game. When you're playing well and your form's half decent, you get away with these things. When it goes bad, it goes really bad. And like we've seen, you don't want to have to highlight the lack of shots, the inconsistency with clean sheets again as an Arsenal fan. But that's all I wanted to say, man, really. I just feel it's a time of reflection with the international break, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you are doing such. On that note, though, I'm going to get out of here. People, deluded.